Alrighty, that Negro with the tattoos did a video a while back on the concept of submission, particularly with black women, and that was a very interesting topic, and I'm going to speak on it again. But here goes Gabrielle Reese, I think her name is. She's a professional volleyball player. But listen to what the Becky has to say on the issue of submission and roles and position. Apparently, she angered some feminists in the things that she was saying, and a lot of the conservative right-wingers jumped on the bandwagon because of the things she was saying too. But check the Becky out. What she said
is that you slam into a wall, but then what are you going to do when you do get to that wall?
For Gabby, part of that wall was her husband's moodiness, which she found hard to confront.
I think I was putting her in a position that she had these things that she wanted to express and not expressing them, so then you get this build-up over time.
Gabby and Laird worked through their problems, and now, 17 years later, they've settled into their own version of paradise, which is all the brighter, they say, for having weathered the storms.
I feel like it's a blessing for us that we've gone through a bunch of different things in our relationship, which has allowed us to arrive here today. We've been brought here through what we've endured in our relationship, and at the end, that's all made us stronger.
It won't surprise you that Gabby's big on exercise and a healthy diet, but what might surprise you are the things that she writes about marriage and her role as a woman. Natalie?
And we're going to delve into that now. Kate Snow, thank you. And the new book is called My Foot is Too Big for the Glass Slipper. Gabrielle Reese, good morning.
Good morning.
Great to see you
again.
Thank
you. Great to see you.
The book is funny, it's witty, but it is also brutally honest. I mean, as you say, this is a guide to the less than perfect life. Yours is not the Cinderella story here, right?
Well, I think, first of all, if you're going to write a book or have a real conversation about this, you should try to be honest, because it's already difficult enough to manage, so you can't add to that by writing books about, like, how perfect everything is. For me, I used to do a blog called Death by Domestication as like a joke about how you could sort of figure out how to combat some of the things about domestic living, and out of that came this book with Karen Carbo, and just trying to not demystify the idea of having it all, but having a realistic conversation about what is the all.
And we're going to get into that in a moment, but let me start from the beginning, where you start actually on page 1 with the book. You say, my happily ever after began on November 30th, 1997. On that day, I married my prince. Very next page, page 2, you write, naturally, 4 years later, we filed for divorce.
Sure.
You two ended up working it out. You ended up sticking it out.
Yeah.
How did you make it work for you? And I say work because it really takes work.
It does. I think, first of all, you realize that what can you do different and do better in the relationship, and that's what I had to look at, because you're not born with the skill set to live and cohabitate and be in a relationship with somebody. So really, sometimes it's only trial by error and by fire. And so I think both of us realized that we had sort of a foundation to make it work out, and that we had a shot, and that we should maximize that instead of saying, okay, this is too hard, and quit. Right. But it's also forgiving yourself that you don't really know how, and that you have to learn how.
And so you did that, and you
I'm still doing that.
You're still doing that, and you actually, I mean, you sparked some interesting discussion, I think, with what you write about in the book, even just as we were talking about this in the newsroom yesterday, about gender roles.
Yes.
And you write, quote, to be truly feminine means being soft and receptive, and look out, here it comes, submissive. Are you saying that women need to serve their men better, to please their men better?
I think the idea of living with a partner is, how can I make their life better? So if I'm the woman and he's the man, then yes, that's the dynamic. I'm willing, and I choose to serve my family and my husband, because it creates a dynamic where he is then in fact acting more like a man and masculine and treating me the way I want to be treated, which is I'd like to be cherished, and I'd like someone to sort of look after me as well in that role. And I think because women have the ability to set the tone, that the ultimate strength and showing real power, I believe, is creating that environment. I don't think it's actually a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength.
So, but you're not being submissive, as you say, in weakness.
Well, he's not saying dinner on the table at 6. We're not talking about that. I'm saying, hey, I'll lift up my side, and I'll do it happily. And also the expectation would be, or the hope would be, that he comes with the same attitude. But yes, is it a form of service? Absolutely. But I think it's the place I can express that part of myself and my personality.
Do you think more women need to do that when it comes to trying to even have it all, as we say?
Well, there is no having it all, but I think the idea is women have to understand what's going to make them happy. And if they choose and they want to have a family and they want to empower their male partner, that this would be a way to do it. The idea of the book is to figure out how do you make yourself happy, because no one is going to make you happy and you can't live through your children. And then within that, how do you empower and make the lives easier of your family members?
It's interesting you say you have to choose, though, because I mean, this whole lean-in conversation, I think that we've heard recently with the book by Sheryl Sandberg, is the idea that women can have it all. They can get to that point. Obviously, it comes with some sacrifice.
I think the idea for me in this book was, why don't we rejigger what that definition is a little bit? Because, first of all, we never talk about men having it all. We don't worry about them having it all. So I don't know where we got this idea that to have it all. I think it's also about, when do you want what? It's like, I took off for almost 10 years so I could be there for my very young children. But again, there's a lot of different ways to get it done. It's got to be an inclusive conversation, not making women feel bad that they do it one way or the other, but going, how are you getting it done? How can we support each other in that? But I think it's very challenging to think, oh, I can have it all. My children know they can't have it all.
They can't. And you're raising your daughters to believe that they will have to make some choices in life?
You have to make choices, and I think if things are hard work, so you've got to choose what you're going to work really hard at.
All right. Well, Gabrielle, Reese, it's sparking a lot of talk, and it's a great conversation. I think a lot of people are going to be talking about this tonight as well.
Well, I won't be reading the internet then.
No, we like your honesty and your open points of view. Thank you for sharing it all with us. And there's a lot more health and wellness and everything related in this book as well. So to read an excerpt from
especially early on. We conducted an online poll about a quote that you said this week that actually picked up a lot of ground. I know you're shaking your head. You said, quote, to be fully feminine means being soft and receptive, and look out, here it comes, even submissive. But here's the deal. We conducted this poll. Almost 4,400 people weighed in. 54% of them said they agreed with you. Are you surprised by that?
Well, I'm just surprised maybe at the way people took the word submissive. I was just sort of saying, within the dynamics of my four walls, I want to go out in the world and kick butt and be a strong woman, and I think I've done that for 25 years. But the idea of trying to make the lives of the people in your home, including your husband, better, that is a form of choice of service. And so I did use the word submissive. It is coming back a little bit to bite me, but I'll take it, because I really believe in that. That idea of we should all make our lives, each other's lives, better. And by the way, my husband lives by that same code.
It goes both ways.
I'm not setting myself up for like, oh, you know, it's just one way out.
You also say that none of this is easy, as pretty as the package looks on the outside. Being in the spotlight, raising a family in the spotlight, marrying someone in the spotlight, it's not easy. In fact, when in the first 2 pages the word divorce comes up, you actually filed for divorce. What made you stay and not say, let's cut our losses and let me go try something else?
Well, I think early on, that reaction of divorce was also my reaction of being fearful, because I didn't know what to do. I wasn't necessarily skilled at loving someone and not knowing how to make it work. And so maybe my first reaction was, well, this is too hard, I'm out of here. And my husband was the one who really was the one who stuck through things and encouraged me, and then reminded me too. I think I was reminded that when you find a partner that fundamentally you have a shot to kind of go the long haul with, it's worth a crack. If you really respect them and love them, then you know, you have to work at it.
We were having a conversation before we came on the air. You were giving me baby advice. By the way, thank you very much. But you were giving me advice that you yourself didn't completely follow when you were pregnant with your first child. You said you need to slow down. Everything will fall into place. May I just mention, this woman played professional volleyball 5 months pregnant. Is the advice still slow down?
I did play in a few tournaments a little bit pregnant. But, you know, that was also my job. You're working still. So when I say slow down, I think sometimes, especially for women like yourself and myself and many women out there who are trying to get it done, it's go, 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 go. But there's a time, too, to give yourself, like, let's say, for example, you feel a little bit tired. That's okay.
It's all right.
Like, it's okay.
Okay, so real quick before we go, we have a few seconds left. I thought I was going to be Gabby Reese a couple years back.
You've done something else.
Well, I stopped growing at 5'4" and 3/4. This was me in high school. Yay or nay? Did you see potential here for a professional volleyball player? The face, the knee pads up to my thighs.
That's a look.
Get a bump in their marriage or a big pothole, just sort of throw in the towel. And you thought about that too, didn't you?
Well, yeah, my husband and I, you know, we were married a very short time, maybe 3-4 years at the time, and we went through a big challenge, and we had actually considered divorcing, and because he was polite in his own way, he said, you know, can you file?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we both realized, for a number of reasons, that it was something worth working through. But you know what it is too? It has to do with that you don't come with the skill set.
Right.
And it's learning to move with your partner and around them, and also realizing separately. I realized too that's a big theme in the book, is self-responsibility, and no child and no husband is going to come and make you happy. No one rescues you. And so in fact, it's your personal responsibility to make yourself happy, and your partner for that matter. So I think that was something that was important to learn, and as a woman, not take things so personal. We take things very personal.
And you are very honest about the fact that even when you did get back and then had 2 more children, you still struggled. But you realized, this is a person that I have the potential to be happy with for a long, long time.
Right, and that's an important thing, is when you have that opportunity with a friend or a partner, that's actually, you're really fortunate. And so it's worth it if the foundation of the things are there, and I'm reminded too to try to have some fun.
Well, good. Well, we enjoyed visiting with you, and you're also going to be on Rock Center with Brian Williams.
Yeah.
You are making it much too complicated. You're asking too much of men. They're not us. They're not intuitive. They can't multitask. They're colorblind. They seem broken, but they're not. They're simple. And they have things to teach us. Like what? That you don't have to have an emotional response to everything. You use tears like a weapon. Yes, but I know I'm doing that. Your father taught me that. And he taught me that things mostly work out. And he taught me patience and not to go near sharp objects when I'm upset, and how to pack a trunk. Lots of things. But mostly he taught me that he is not a woman, and that I wouldn't want him to be. I'll play that part.